You will never truly become wealthy by simply working hard. Affluent individuals don't labor for money. Instead, they master the art of making their money diligently work for them. That sounds utterly absurd, doesn't it? Yet, it is precisely this fundamental mindset that distinguishes those who achieve profound financial freedom from those who remain perpetually trapped in the endless cycle of their salary arriving and then swiftly vanishing. Now, allow me to pose a critical question to you. Do you genuinely understand what effective actions to take the very moment your paycheck is deposited into your bank account? Today, I am going to unveil the highly effective strategy that financially intelligent individuals immediately implement upon receiving their income. A strategy that empowers them to meticulously organize their finances and accumulate savings rapidly, all without requiring them to earn an increased salary. Have you ever keenly observed how money seems to simply evaporate into thin air shortly after it lands in your account? You spend an entire month eagerly anticipating your salary, and when it finally arrives, within just a few fleeting days, it feels as though it has completely disappeared. The pervasive sensation is akin to attempting to cup and hold water with your bare hands. This common phenomenon occurs with almost everyone, and what is most fascinating and perhaps counterintuitive is that it doesn't even depend on the actual amount of money you earn. Individuals who receive a modest income certainly face considerable difficulties. That much is clear. But what about those who bring home $10,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 every single month? Why do so many of them still find themselves entangled in the complex web of debt? The definitive answer lies in an invisible yet pervasive error, a mistake that the vast majority of people aren't even consciously aware they are committing: elevating their standard of living before they have truly elevated their financial intelligence. This represents an insidious and silent trap. Money arrives, and along with it comes a deceptive, often intoxicating sense of accomplishment. You begin to feel that you intrinsically deserve a well-earned reward, perhaps a brand new cell phone, an upgraded automobile, or a celebratory vacation to commemorate your hard work. And while there is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with desiring to experience a good life and enjoy its comforts, the real, underlying problem emerges when immediate gratification supplants the essential, long-term task of diligently building your future. It's the precise moment you start exchanging your precious time, energy, and resources for temporary, fleeting comforts. And do you know what's even worse about this cycle? Society itself actively encourages and applauds you for engaging in this behavior. It enthusiastically cheers for the shiny new car, yet it completely ignores the quiet, consistent, and often unseen acts of financial investment. It admires what is visually apparent and superficial, but it frequently dismisses or even scorns what genuinely offers you lasting liberation. It is at this critical juncture that the fundamental distinction between active income and passive income truly transforms the game of financial prosperity. Active income is quite simply what you earn directly through your dedicated efforts, your job, your time, your physical energy. Passive income, conversely, is money that consistently continues to flow in and generate returns, even when you are not actively working or exchanging your time for it. Savvy individuals intrinsically understand that the authentic ultimate goal is not to merely work harder or for longer hours. Rather, it is to skillfully and strategically make their money work tirelessly on their behalf, generating further wealth. But what is the typical, almost reflexive behavior of the majority? They acquire liabilities under the profound and often costly misguided belief that they are purchasing valuable assets. Consider this carefully and deeply. You purchase a brand new car for $30,000, genuinely believing you are making a shrewd investment. However, from the very instant that vehicle drives off the dealership lot, it immediately begins to depreciate significantly in value. Furthermore, there are a host of ongoing, often relentless expenses such as annual vehicle registration fees, costly insurance premiums, routine maintenance, and of course, fuel, each and every month, this vehicle steadily drains a bit more of your hard-earned income. It's akin to adopting a financial pet that you will faithfully need to feed and care for the remainder of its and your life. Now, envision an entirely different scenario. What if, instead of allocating that significant amount of money to a depreciating car, you instead strategically placed it into something that actively generates income for you, such as dividend-paying stocks, income-producing real estate investment trusts, or perhaps even launching a modest online business? Gradually, over a period of time, you would cultivate a robust financial foundation that works diligently and consistently for you, even while you are peacefully asleep. However, the deeply ingrained mindset of the vast majority simply does not operate in this intelligent, forward-thinking manner. There exists a deeply rooted belief that an increase in salary inherently and automatically translates into an elevated standard of living. It's as though the individual instinctively tells themselves, "Now, with this raise, I truly deserve to live a better, more comfortable life." Yet, this very thought marks the insidious beginning of the financial trap. What people often profoundly fail to recognize is that when their standard of living rapidly ascends, their associated costs and expenses concurrently skyrocket, often at precisely the same alarming speed. While active income might remain steady or even see a marginal increase, expenditures escalate dramatically, as if without any discernible boundaries whatsoever. And when an unforeseen negative event inevitably occurs, be it a sudden job loss, a significant economic downturn, or a serious, debilitating illness, everything can come crashing down around them with devastating speed. Do you desire a truly real and profoundly impactful illustration of this critical principle? Consider the legendary story of Mike Tyson, the formidable world champion boxer. He managed to amass an astonishing fortune exceeding $400 million throughout his illustrious career. He could have very easily lived the remainder of his life in serene and comfortable tranquility, yet he squandered every dollar of it on lavish mansions, exotic automobiles, extravagant jewelry, and even expensive pet tigers. The tragic and widely publicized outcome? Utter bankruptcy. And do you know precisely why this happened? Because his chosen lifestyle expanded at a pace far greater and more reckless than his financial intelligence ever did. Now, contrast that sharply with the remarkably disciplined life of Warren Buffett, undeniably one of the wealthiest individuals globally. Despite being a multi-billionaire, he still resides in the exact same modest home he purchased way back in 1958 for approximately $30,000. He grasped a profound truth that countless others will likely never fully comprehend. Genuine, enduring wealth is not primarily defined by how much you spend, but rather by how much you consistently and strategically retain and grow. And perhaps you might be currently asking yourself with a sense of frustration, but how can I possibly change this trajectory if absolutely everything around me is becoming increasingly expensive? If rent, groceries, gasoline, everything seems to continually rise without end, and my salary barely manages to keep pace. This is an entirely fair and pertinent question to pose. However, the definitive answer lies not in the value of what you earn, but in your ability to exert personal control over it. The true turning point, the genuine paradigm shift, occurs when you make a conscious and resolute decision to view money strategically and rationally, rather than emotionally and impulsively. It happens when you fully grasp that the fundamental purpose of your salary is not merely to finance your transient present comforts, but rather to diligently fortify and sustain your power of choice for a more secure and abundant future. Mark Tilbury frequently and insightfully asserts that financial freedom truly begins the moment you decide to cease impressing others and instead commence taking diligent care of your own future. This particular statement is quite profound, even brutal in its honesty, because it directly challenges one's ego and societal pressures. How many countless times have you acquired something not because you genuinely needed it, but simply because you yearned to prove a point or make an impression? perhaps to someone else or even to yourself. This, precisely, is the relentless and exhausting cycle that traps you firmly within the infamous rat race. You work, you spend, you then anxiously await the next paycheck. You work, you spend, you wait anxiously once more. Financially intelligent individuals skillfully break free from this perpetual cycle of financial haste with one remarkably simple yet immensely powerful rule. Do not spend before you thoughtfully consider your actions and intentions. When their salary arrives, they do not impulsively rush out to spend. Instead, they observe, they meticulously plan, and they assign a clear, intentional purpose to every single dollar. This is because the genuine secret to financial prosperity does not lie in earning a greater income, but rather in effectively and consciously controlling the money you already possess. If your money consistently seems to disappear rapidly, the underlying problem is not with the amount of your salary itself, but rather with your ingrained spending behavior. And this profound realization is truly liberating, for it unequivocally means that the power to change your financial destiny is entirely within your own hands. Would you like to put this powerful principle to the test yourself? In the upcoming month, commit to waiting a full 24 hours before you spend even a single dollar of your earned salary. This deliberate and conscious pause will cultivate immense clarity and profoundly assist you in discerning between what is truly essential and what is merely an impulsive desire. It is at precisely this juncture that your transformative financial journey truly begins to unfold. And when you fundamentally grasp that accumulating wealth is a disciplined and consistent habit, not a singular random event, absolutely everything in your financial life begins to shift dramatically. Dedicating 15% of what you earn each pay period to invest diligently in your future self represents the single most intelligent and impactful step you can possibly take. It might initially seem like an insignificant or even meager amount right now, but it is time, not the initial sum of money, that orchestrates the profound magic of compounding. Compound interest stands as your most formidable and powerful ally, and those who commence early, even with modest amounts, invariably achieve significantly greater financial distances and security than those who procrastinate, waiting to accumulate a large sum before they even begin their investment journey. Treat this dedicated percentage of your income as your very own freedom tax. It comes first, ahead of any other bill, expense, or obligation you might have. This consistent discipline is absolutely imperative because whatever is not deliberately and intentionally set aside will inevitably be spent, always, without exception. And what is most fascinating and truly inspiring is that this consistent habit of saving and investing actively generates a positive, self-reinforcing domino effect. As you begin to witness your money steadily and consistently growing, your entire financial mindset undergoes a profound and empowering transformation. You start to experience genuine pride and satisfaction in seeing your investment accounts expand. And this newfound, deeply fulfilling satisfaction effectively displaces the fleeting, transient contentment derived from purchasing something new. What was once an immediate, often ephemeral pleasure now fundamentally evolves into a deeply satisfying, long-term enjoyment. The profound and enduring pleasure of watching your future systematically take tangible, secure form. Mark Tilbury consistently reminds us with great wisdom that money is much like an employee. If you fail to assign it specific productive tasks, it will simply sit idle, become unproductive, and eventually disappear. Therefore, you must proactively assign it a clear and defined function. Put it to work for you. Every single dollar you thoughtfully and strategically invest becomes a diligent little worker, tirelessly contributing to the expansion and fortification of your personal financial empire. Therefore, the next time your paycheck arrives in your account, do not dwell on how much you are able to spend on immediate desires. Instead, focus intently and strategically on how much you are going to keep, secure, and grow for your future. Make the conscious decision to immediately set aside your 15%. Even if it initially appears to be a meager sum, even if it seems utterly insignificant or ineffective in the short term. One day, you will look back with immense gratitude and realize that this straightforward yet disciplined decision was the pivotal turning point in your entire financial life. It was the very beginning of the enduring path that systematically transforms a mere salary into genuine, lasting freedom. There exists a profound and comforting sensation of peace that only those with a robust financial safety net truly comprehend and experience. It's akin to sleeping soundly through the night, unburdened by the heavy weight of financial uncertainty, knowing with absolute conviction that, come what may, be it an economic downturn, an unexpected expense, or a personal crisis, you possess a formidable financial shield actively protecting you and your loved ones. This constitutes the critical difference between individuals who perpetually live on the financial edge, constantly stressed, and those who reside in a state of tranquil, secure living. And the undeniable truth is that the majority of people do not live poorly due to a fundamental lack of money itself, but rather due to a profound lack of security and control concerning it. When money exerts undue control over your emotions and decisions, you will never genuinely feel truly free. The crucial first step towards fundamentally altering this reality is to fully grasp that financial stability is not primarily about becoming immensely wealthy. It is, more profoundly, about being thoroughly and proactively prepared for life's inevitable challenges. Astute individuals do not idly wait for a storm to break before they purchase an umbrella. They wisely prepare themselves when the sun is still shining brightly and the skies are clear. And this, precisely, translates into diligently constructing a solid and accessible emergency fund. It is not a luxury item that can be deferred. It is an absolute necessity, a non-negotiable component of true financial security. This vital reserve functions as the essential cushioning buffer that prevents a financial stumble or setback from quickly devolving into a full-blown, catastrophic tragedy. The ideal objective for this emergency fund is to accumulate the equivalent of 6 months of your income. Does that sound like a substantial and perhaps daunting amount? Indeed, it often does. However, no one establishes true and lasting financial security overnight. It is an ongoing, systematic process that demands consistent effort and unwavering discipline. And the profound secret lies in commencing with small, manageable steps and maintaining unwavering consistency over time. This means diligently setting aside 10% of your salary every single month and placing it into a secure, risk-free, and easily accessible location, yet one that doesn't tempt you to tap into it frivolously for non-emergencies. This intentional fund is your definitive peace plan, and there is a remarkably simple yet immensely powerful logic underpinning this entire strategy. When something inevitably goes awry in life, such as an unexpected job loss, an unfortunate accident, or an unforeseen significant expense, you are not forced to descend into despair, desperately plead for high-interest loans, or resort to high-interest credit cards that levy exorbitant charges and deepen your debt. Instead, you simply and calmly draw upon your established emergency reserve. And what might have otherwise been a full-blown crisis is thus gracefully transformed into a mere manageable setback. This is the crucial, life-altering distinction between succumbing to chaos and maintaining complete, empowering control. Mark Tilbury often states with keen insight and profound truth that money itself does not buy happiness, but the profound absence of it certainly buys anxiety. And he is absolutely correct in this assertion. Numerous rigorous scientific studies unequivocally substantiate this fact. Researchers at Purdue University meticulously analyzed data from over 1.7 million individuals across 164 countries and conclusively discovered that financial security, distinct from sheer material wealth, is the primary factor most significantly influencing an individual's overall sense of well-being and life satisfaction. When you possess the confident knowledge that you are capable of effectively handling unexpected eventualities and financial challenges, your anxiety levels naturally recede significantly, and your capacity for clear focus and productive action once again expands. Now, it is indeed quite interesting and sometimes perplexing to observe the prevalent behavior of the majority of people. They work incredibly hard. They diligently meet their professional targets. They often live in a state of constant exhaustion. Yet, when they finally receive their paycheck, their immediate thought is invariably the same: I genuinely deserve to enjoy this and treat myself. And of course, you absolutely do deserve to enjoy your hard-earned money and the fruits of your labor. The critical issue, however, arises when that genuine sense of deserving transforms into a convenient and dangerous justification for financial imprudence and reckless spending. While momentary pleasure grants you mere fleeting seconds of joy, genuine financial security generously offers you years, even decades, of profound tranquility, peace of mind, and robust stability. Napoleon Hill experienced this phenomenon in a very personal and intimate way throughout his life. When he first embarked on his interviews with prominent entrepreneurs, his family was enduring significant financial hardship. On one particular occasion, he penned a letter recounting how he had been compelled to part with his own watch just to put food on the table. Yet, even in such dire circumstances, he steadfastly maintained a commitment to setting aside even the most modest sum, no matter how insignificant it seemed, to reinvest in knowledge and secure his future livelihood. This profound discipline helped him forge the emotional and financial stability that would later inspire millions upon millions of individuals. He unequivocally proved that genuine security isn't derived from the sheer volume of your possessions, but rather from the depth of your unwavering commitment to your future self. And it is precisely here that a powerful and transformative concept emerges. An emergency reserve is your emotional insurance. It empowers you to make far better choices because you are no longer compelled to make decisions under the suffocating grip of fear. Consider how many people find themselves trapped within soul-crushing occupations they utterly despise, simply because they are wholly dependent on their very next paycheck. How many individuals cling to unhealthy and detrimental relationships out of a paralyzing fear of being unable to sustain themselves entirely alone? The simple, yet profoundly impactful act of establishing such a reserve alters this dynamic entirely, from its very foundations. Suddenly, you possess the empowering ability to assert a resounding no without a flicker of apprehension. However, it is not merely sufficient to squirrel away these funds. They must be placed in precisely the right location. Your reserve ought to be invested in something offering exceptionally low risk and readily accessible high liquidity, meaning you can withdraw your funds at a moment's notice. Investments such as a high-yield savings account or money market funds with daily liquidity are excellent examples. This is emphatically not the opportune time to pursue lofty returns. Instead, it is a period for diligently safeguarding your hard-earned principal. This specific segment of your financial resources is not designated to propel you to vast riches. Rather, its primary, unequivocal purpose is to steadfastly keep you on your feet during unforeseen challenges. And do you know what is even more remarkably compelling? The simple act of possessing an emergency reserve fundamentally transforms your entire perspective on money. It ceases to be a perpetual source of anxiety, and instead transmutes into a potent instrument of unwavering protection. You gain an intrinsic sense of being in control, and this singular shift redefines everything. The gnawing sense of urgency dissipates into thin air, impulsive tendencies wane significantly, and you begin to make far more intelligent and judicious financial decisions, grounded firmly in sound reasoning rather than propelled by crippling fear. Keanu Reeves stands as an inspiring example of this philosophy. Even though he commands a fortune assessed at well over $300 million, he consistently maintains a remarkably unassuming and profoundly simple lifestyle. He can frequently be observed utilizing public transportation, such as the subway system, resides in a modest and discreet manner, and conscientiously shuns all forms of extravagant excess. He grasped the profound truth that genuine security and profound tranquility far outweigh the fleeting allure of any mere status symbol. He is not held captive by his financial assets. Instead, he has cultivated a deep and abiding peace with them. Ultimately, this invaluable sense of inner peace is precisely what every single one of us endeavors to attain. Now, perhaps you are thinking, but it will take a considerable amount of time indeed for me to accumulate a sum equivalent to 6 months of my income. Yes, it absolutely will. But what if you never even begin? How much longer will it then take to reach that goal? Time in its relentless march will pass regardless. The crucial difference lies in whether, 5 years from now, you will look back and behold a robust emergency reserve you meticulously constructed, or merely the same old, disheartening emptiness. And there is something else that only a select few truly grasp. Building an emergency reserve is a profound act of self-love and self-preservation. It is you nurturing and safeguarding your future self, ensuring that future version does not endure the same hardships you might be experiencing in the present moment. It is akin to leaving a heartfelt note to yourself, declaring, "I thought of you." And when the inevitable, unforeseen circumstance eventually arrives, for it most certainly always does arrive, you will undoubtedly express immense gratitude to yourself for having made this prescient decision. So, commence this journey now. It matters not if you begin with $50, $100, or even $500. The precise monetary figure is entirely symbolic. What truly matters is your unwavering commitment and consistent action. And if you wish to accelerate your progress, consider complementing your reserve with a life insurance policy or a robust disability insurance plan. Think of this as an additional, fortified layer of protection. This is not a manifestation of pessimism. Rather, it is a clear demonstration of astute intelligence. Life is inherently unpredictable and uncertain, yet thorough preparation unequivocally grants you a distinct advantage. Remember this fundamental truth. True stability is not predicated upon the mere accumulation of vast sums, but rather on the profound state of being perpetually ready. And the ultimate genuine luxury in life is to live each day unburdened by the pervasive dread of tomorrow. When money ceases to haunt you like a specter and, instead, transforms into a trusted, steadfast ally, you conquer something utterly priceless, profound emotional freedom. This is the very essence of wealth that truly intelligent individuals prioritize above all other pursuits. There exists an indiscernible, invisible boundary that distinctly separates those who achieve genuine prosperity from those who, unfortunately, falter. And it is not found in the magnitude of one's salary, nor in the sheer quantity of opportunities presented. This crucial line resides squarely within one's mindset. Money, in its purest form, is merely a direct consequence, a tangible reflection of the prevailing manner in which you perceive and contemplate it. And it is for this precise reason that two distinct individuals can earn precisely the same amount of income, and yet, inexplicably, inhabit entirely divergent realities. One steadily advances and flourishes, while the other tragically sinks into decline. Intelligent individuals do not embark upon a quest for shortcuts. Instead, they diligently seek unwavering clarity. They understand that the journey to true wealth is not a solitary event. It is, rather, a consistent, repeated, almost automatic behavior. It commences afresh every single month, precisely at the very instant one's paycheck is deposited into their bank account. Mark Tilbury, for instance, began his life without the benefit of any inherent privileges or advantages. He resided in a humble trailer home and toiled diligently in various factories. He easily could have resigned himself to the belief that this arduous existence was his ultimate, unchangeable reality, as the vast majority often do. However, he consciously elected to think in a fundamentally different manner. He began to assiduously study how money truly functioned, and in doing so, he perceived something that radically changed everything. While others relentlessly worked for money, he decided to dedicate his efforts towards achieving true financial liberation. In just a few short years, he meticulously built his own successful business, and by the tender age of 27 years, he sold his company for a sum exceeding $1 million. His secret? He applied a philosophy that was both simple and profoundly powerful: pay yourself first, and then live contentedly on the remainder. This meant that before he attended to any other bills or obligations, he meticulously paid himself first. He consistently set aside a portion of his earnings for strategic investment, regardless of how constrained or challenging the financial circumstances of the month might have felt. This unwavering discipline, in essence, transformed a diligent factory worker into a self-made millionaire. On the other hand, there exist numerous cautionary tales that serve as stark and sobering reminders. The renowned rapper MC Hammer, at the absolute zenith of his fame, accumulated a staggering fortune of over $30 million. But in just a mere handful of years, he squandered it all away. His lifestyle was characterized by opulent luxury vehicles, sprawling palatial mansions, extravagant parties, and a life wholly consumed by excessive indulgence. He erroneously believed that his vast fortune would be inexhaustible and never diminish, and it is precisely this dangerous illusion that invariably devastates fortunes. When one's lifestyle expands at a pace that far outstrips their accumulated financial wisdom, the ultimate downfall is not only predictable, but also entirely unavoidable. This identical pattern tragically recurs among lottery winners, professional athletes, renowned artists, and even ordinary individuals who suddenly acquire a substantial windfall, only to find themselves, within a matter of mere months, reverting to their original starting point, or in many instances, an even more dire financial predicament. The fundamental issue was never the money itself. Rather, it was the underlying mindset, and it is here that one of the most harsh and unvarnished truths concerning money becomes strikingly apparent. It proves entirely futile to merely increase one's income if their mindset remains constricted and impoverished. A scarcity-driven, impoverished mind spends to project an image of wealth. A truly prosperous, abundant mind, conversely, spends strategically to sustain its freedom. The people who genuinely prosper understand implicitly that every single financial decision you make constitutes a deliberate vote for the precise type of life you aspire to live. When you consciously choose to invest, you are, in effect, casting your vote for your ultimate liberation. When you elect to spend impulsively, you are voting, quite literally, for ongoing dependence. Napoleon Hill famously asserted that every significant achievement is first conceived within the mind. He fervently believed that thought itself is the primordial seed from which all wealth springs forth, and to substantiate this profound belief, he dedicated well over 20 years to assiduously studying the most exceptionally successful individuals across the globe, among whom were industrial titans such as Henry Ford, brilliant innovators like Thomas Edison, and philanthropic magnates including Andrew Carnegie. During one of his extensive interviews, Hill himself navigated through one of the most profoundly difficult phases of his own life. Devoid of financial resources, burdened by crippling debt, and facing widespread disbelief and scorn, he penned a resolute letter to himself, unequivocally affirming that he would not, under any circumstances, relinquish his pursuit, even if it meant physically writing with bleeding hands. This poignant letter would subsequently become one of the most profoundly significant moments of his extraordinary journey, precisely because it symbolized the indomitable power of the very mindset he so passionately espoused. Years later, this same unyielding determination transformed him into one of the most influential authors in history, conclusively proving that true and enduring wealth originates within the confines of the mind long before it materializes in a bank account. And science indeed confirms this. A comprehensive study published in the esteemed journal Psychological Science demonstrated that people who consistently engage in long-term thinking exhibit quantifiably and significantly higher levels of overall well-being and sustained financial prosperity than those who are perpetually chasing after immediate, fleeting gratification. This phenomenon occurs because the human brain is naturally predisposed to seek out rapid and instantaneous rewards, and only those who diligently cultivate and rigorously train both patience and unwavering discipline are truly capable of harnessing the immense power of time to their distinct advantage. Money, much like a thriving plant, flourishes and expands over time. Yet the vast majority of individuals inadvertently stifle its growth through their impulsive haste and impatience. Your financial mindset is also profoundly and intrinsically intertwined with the way you instinctively react to your emotions. The average individual tends to spend compulsively when feeling downcast, makes purchases in moments of acute stress, and indulges in self-rewards when experiencing exhaustion. However, those who truly understand the game know full well that money and raw emotion constitute an exceedingly perilous concoction. These two forces should never, under any circumstances, share the same decision-making table. When you consistently act based on transient feelings, your financial resources swiftly evaporate. When you consistently act based on clear purpose, it predictably multiplies and expands. And there is something of paramount importance to consider. Intelligent individuals understand that money functions as a profound mirror, merely reflecting your intrinsic character and habits back to you. If you are disciplined, it reliably grows and flourishes. If you are impulsive, it just as predictably slips away. If you harbor a scarcity mindset, then no amount of money will ever feel truly sufficient. But if you embrace an abundance and planning mindset, then every single dollar transforms into a potent seed of future prosperity. The crucial difference is that a seed, by its very nature, requires ample time to germinate and blossom into its full potential. The unfortunate problem is that the majority of individuals impatiently uproot the tender plant long before it has a genuine opportunity to mature and bear fruit. Consider how you instinctively react the very moment your paycheck arrives. Do you consciously build, or do you merely consume? The discerning builder perceives every single cent as a foundational brick for their future aspirations. The impulsive consumer, conversely, views money as something inherently fleeting, needing to be expended before it inevitably vanishes. And vanish it most certainly does. Try implementing a simple yet powerful rule for the next 30 days. The very moment your funds are deposited, allocate 15% for strategic investment, 10% for your emergency reserve, and then live contentedly on the remaining balance. It is not imperative for this process to be flawlessly executed from day one. The crucial step is simply to begin. This simple act changes everything. Feelings of anxiety demonstrably lessen, your sense of personal control expands significantly, and your money gradually commences to actively work in your favor. Financial freedom does not originate when you merely earn a greater income, but rather when you master the art of effectively controlling the financial resources you already possess. When you consistently act with consciousness and deliberate purpose, money ceases to be a burdensome weight and instead evolves into an invaluable ally. This is precisely how intelligent individuals live. They do not labor tirelessly for their salary. Instead, they skillfully orchestrate their salary to diligently work for them. And if you have journeyed with me to this point, it is because you are prepared to embark upon the next crucial stage in your personal evolution. So, seize this opportunity. The subsequent video now appearing on your screen will lead you even deeper into this transformative journey. It represents yet another vital rung on the ladder toward achieving profound financial wisdom. One more incremental step toward becoming 1% better than you are at this very moment. My sincere gratitude extends to you for accompanying me on this enlightening discussion thus far. If this content resonated deeply with you and offered valuable insights, please do leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and ensure you activate the notification bell to continue receiving videos of this nature. I eagerly anticipate welcoming you in the next video. Together, let us persistently forge ahead, constructing the unwavering path toward lasting freedom.